Now, the cool thing about all this hunting, and whether you're completing habitat management, hunting management, whatever you're doing and planning towards your hunt this coming fall, maybe you're watching this during hunting season, but what I really like is there's kind of some talk in the industry sometime, or you see online, but deer luck versus deer skill. And to me, there's a huge difference. Now, I do believe, point number two, that luck is always a part of hunting. You can't say 100% I'm going into the woods, I'm going to shoot this buck. But there is a part about skill that actually overcomes luck. And I believe there's two types of hunters. A long time ago, I was told, boy, it was my early 20s, mid 20s, that I was the luckiest hunter in the world. And I looked at it like, I actually was offended by that almost, because I looked at it like you read a lot, you study a lot, you experience a lot, you're in the woods a lot, and you're really trying to make decisions that tilt the luck in your favor, and eventually that becomes skill, not luck. So I actually took offense to that a long time ago. Whether it was meant that way or not, I looked at it like, man, I work really hard for this to determine my own luck. And I feel that crosses the line where either somewhere along the lines you go from luck to skill. And number one of the chapters in my all-weather whitetail books, let's say it's chapter number 5, I think it might be, but poker in the deer woods. It's what the chapter is about. And I believe, just like playing poker, now I don't play poker typically, I lose just about every time I do, but poker in the deer woods, I do play poker in the deer woods. And what you try to do is put every piece of information and experience toward predetermining your own level of success. And so whether you're using the weather, whether you're making good stand location decisions, time of year decisions, you're trying to pull all these variables together to basically bash luck in the face and really determine your own outlook with skill. So poker in the deer woods, I do that all the time, and I think you should too. And think of along those ways that you have this opportunity, whether you're scouting right now in January, whether you're scouting bedding areas or creating bedding areas in February, looking for that next great food source of deer hitting fall, winter browse, that you can actually apply a plan of attack for next year during hunting season. There's a lot of ways that you can play poker in the deer woods in the off season, and then when it comes to the season, you're actually looking at stand locations, stand access, time of day, time of season, making sure that every time you go to a stand, you're making appropriate decisions. And this really goes in the face of, you can't shoot them sitting on the couch. And as you know, and I've talked about before, that's one of the phrases I can't stand in the hunting industry, in hunting in general. It's kind of a catchy phrase that people say, but it's kept more people from shooting big bucks and fulfilling their whitetail dreams than any other phrase likely out there, because you can determine your own fate in the woods by making smart decisions. A smart decision is not to hunt every day. That's actually the opposite of being smart. It's actually quality time in the woods and playing poker in the deer woods that determines your fate, not just random luck. If you're relying on random luck, you're going to shoot a mature buck. If you're even in a mature buck area every 10, 15 years, and you'll get that buck of a lifetime every time, once in a while. But how about getting that buck of a lifetime 80% of the time? You see these target bucks, you shoot them, one or two of them every single year, and over a 10-year period, 20-year period, you can look back and say, you know what, I predetermined my own fate, my own level of success 80% of the time with all these bucks, and you can do that. Been doing it for years, and I teach clients how to do that. Like I said, number 2, luck is always a part of the equation, but a good hunter reduces the amount of luck needed. If you're just that, we'll just go hunt anytime I can, you need a lot of luck on your side, because it's a bad decision. It's like playing in poker and you have lots of money and you're always throwing it down on the table, no matter how much money you have, no matter what your cards are, you're just wasting all your money throwing it on the table every time you play. That's a bad hunter in the deer woods. And so if you think of those two, it's a really good comparison for winning at poker in the deer woods. Again, you're making smart decisions. It's not a smart decision just to go out and rely on luck and hunt as much as you can. Now, I'm not saying hunting as much as you can is not fun. It's just people say, well, I want to get out in the woods, I want to enjoy my time. Well, like I've said before, I go hiking, fishing, spend time with the family, especially corn mazes in the fall. I love those, and cider mills. So there's a lot of things that you can do to enjoy the great outdoors besides making bad decisions to go in the woods and ruin your future hunts and hunt and overhunt too much. The great thing about skill is that the more you make smart decisions, the more you predetermine your fate, good or bad. A lot of people go into the season because they're playing a bad hand, they're playing a bad game, they haven't prepared. Their fate is going to probably be bad, meaning they're not going to experience the level of success that they could have even come close to if they're actually using skill and not relying on luck. Again, time of day, time of season, the weather, HuntCast 2.0 through HuntWise. That's what I helped build. That's how I've been hunting since the early 90s. And that's, you still have to decide on. I've read a couple things where people say, well, I tried HuntCast and it didn't work. Well, right away what HuntCast is doing, and I'll just give you a little secret, is it's taking out the really hot days. It's taking out the boring days where you have 52, 57, 53, 54, 58 all in a row. It's taking out the extreme days of weather where deer just aren't moving. Obviously, they're typically not moving in a giant blizzard. It's taking out the high wind days, the thunder and lightning days. And so right off the bat, it's taking out a lot of days out of the forecast that you shouldn't be hunting, and deer typically don't move, and most people wouldn't argue on any of those points. You're left with, say, 40, 30%. Then the way the algorithm works is it places a priority on various aspects of the weather, whether it's wind change, wind speed change, temperature change, extreme weather change, days of boring weather preceding a certain day. There's a lot of other factors that come into play to tweak it so that you take those 4 out of 10 days that are remaining and you tweak it down to those 1-2 days in a 10-day area, or 20% of the time or 10% of the time that's working. So again, you can't say, well, I have this weather forecast, so when I go into the woods, I'm going to shoot a deer every single time. You have to make the right decision for stands based on the time of day, morning, evening, time of year. Is this a rut stand, food source stand? Is it bedding stand versus food source? Are you hunting a bedding stand in the morning, which is good? Or are you hunting a bedding stand in the evening, which is bad? Are you sitting all day in the stand? That could be a really bad thing because half your day that stand is morning or evening, and you're making a bad decision as far as ruining half your hunt because you're staying in the wrong stand all day for half the day. You're lowering your potential and your efficiency of your hunting. So weather is part of it, but again, you have to make all those smart decisions. Your access, are you spooking deer? Are you even hunting in the right property? Do you even have those bucks in the area that you're after? Are they even coming onto your land during the daylight? There's so many other factors you have to figure, but the weather is a huge portion. See, I've already predetermined all of those other questions. I've determined is this a morning rut stand, or is this an afternoon evening stand? Is this a cruising stand? Am I going to wait to hunt this stand till the rut? Are there bucks actually on this property? Have I completed habitat work and food plots on this property, on this private land? Have I found food sources on public land that would lead me to think that a buck will be in this location at that time? I've already predetermined. You can predetermine all of that. Those stands, where you're going to hunt. We were just talking about a new food plot out here, Dylan and I today. I created a video on it. And I predetermine where those 2 stands are going to be and where there's going to be a blind against that. And I'll know when I can hunt that area. And then it boils down to just making smart decisions based on the winds. If I'm going to hunt this stand, I can't blow it this way because I'm going to spook deer. If I blow it this way, I'm likely not going to spook deer. Once you've decided all that, what's the weather telling me? When should I hunt? And that's that last step after everything's been predetermined. And of course, if you hunt too much, the same old stand, you're taking the skill and the smart decisions out of the equation. You have to rely more on luck because you're hurting the situation and applying too much pressure. I would like you to be the luckiest hunter alive. That was, in looking back, that was a good thing because at least that individual recognized that I shot bucks on a consistent basis wherever I hunted. And we were talking about public land in that location in Pennsylvania. But that worked. I want you to be the luckiest hunter. I want someone to say, 10 years from now, man, you're the luckiest hunter alive. And whether it ticks you off or not, you can smile knowing that that is actual recognition of the success you've had over that 10-year period. Number 5, skill trumps luck every single time. Again, there's a certain amount of luck you have to rely on in hunting, but I want you to predetermine your fate, play poker in the deer woods, rely on luck a little bit, you have to. But in all of this, it boils down to, I talk about all the time, you go into a stand location, it's a 40 to 50% sit. You know that something good's going to happen. I sat twice in a stand this year for morning, didn't see it much on our property in Minnesota, didn't see many deer. I sat it once in the evening and I had a really nice 3-year-old 10-point, probably a 4-year-old 9-point go by. It was an incredible sit, and the next time I sat with a little bit of intel of knowing that this buck Kermit was in that location, and a lot of the other bucks that I go after, this is going back to the early 90s. I call them 40% sits, 50% sits, where you go in, you're expecting to shoot this buck, you're expecting to see him, you're expecting to get close, and if you predetermine your own fate and not relying on luck, this is what happens. And I can't tell you how many target bucks, close to 40 target bucks, 50, at least 40 throughout the years in different locations. And so it's all about predetermining your own fate and not relying on luck. I was confident enough when I went out in that stand that I had Dante filming with me, and Dante got the shot on film and everything in the recovery, and we had an incredible time together in deer woods. But again, it goes back to, if I was relying on luck, I might as well just take the 15 stand locations we have out here in 4 blinds, throw them in a bottle, shake them up, pick the one that I need to go sit by. That's just not me. When I was growing up, I never relied on board games of luck. I didn't like playing them. I liked to play board games or games with the family that involved some kind of a skill, something where you had to use your head, because otherwise it was just kind of boring to me and I didn't enjoy it. I enjoy this kind of stuff. I enjoy bringing this to you, trying to help you advance your deer hunting knowledge and experience and your success in the field to a different level. I love hearing about it in the comments. That's one of the things I love reading is, this information to change the way I hunt. I shot my biggest buck last year. I shot my first deer. It was a doe. I had quite a few of those this year that was the first deer and it was a doe experiences. I had someone even talk about they shot a button buck. It's their first deer. My first deer was a button buck. So, I thought it was really cool to hear that experience. I don't care what kind of success that you want to relay to me. You're proud of it. I'm proud to hear it. And I'm never going to chastise you for that success. I love it. I don't care what big size the buck is. But it's all about advancing your skill level as a hunter, and I hope the channel delivers, because if it doesn't, why even produce the videos that we do and put this all together? I'd love to hear it in the comments below. Have a successful season this fall. Now, as we transition into habitat season, I hope you've had a chance to check out my web class, How to Design Your Whitetail Parcel. It's on my website, whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. I have a link in the description, and I hope you can find it, check it out, and enjoy it this year.